10 championship, the NFC playoffs, the Daytona 500, and the UEFA Champions League final. The world's biggest events are on Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports! Today on Fox Saturday Baseball, interleague rivalries become intrastate feuds. In the Subway Series, old wounds die hard.
There's just that buzz around the city, you know? Those 6 games really divide alliances in the city.
While in Chicago, the rivalry between the South Side Sox and the North Side Cubs rages on.
The Cubs-White Sox rivalry is extreme dislike for the other team.
There's no back and forth. It's either Cubs or Sox. And the fans really hate each other. And there's fights in the stands and fights on the fields.
And not to be outdone, it's a battle for Ohio when the Indians head to Cincinnati to challenge the Reds for in-state supremacy. It's rivalry weekend on Fox Saturday Baseball, and it starts right now.
Welcome to the AT&T pregame show on Fox. AT&T, rethink possible. We are in New York, which this weekend is a city divided. It is round 2 of the Subway Series. The Yanks took the series opener last night and have won 3 of 4 this year against the Mets. 2 of the many stars on display are Mark Teixeira, whose 25 home runs is actually second best in the bigs, and Jose Reyes, whom A-Rod called the best player on the planet earlier this week. Hi, everybody, live from New York. It's Fox Saturday Baseball. And in just a few minutes, most of you will stay here for the Subway Series for an intriguing starting pitching matchup. The Yanks send out 38-year-old right-hander Bartolo Colon against the Mets' fine young rookie Dylan Gee, who eyes his 9th win this year. Others are off to the Windy City to see the Cubs and the White Sox do battle. Paul Konerko, he's in the top 5 in the AL in batting, homers, and RBI. And welcome back Marlon Byrd, activated off the DL today for the first time since taking a pitch to the face 6 weeks ago. He is batting 6th. And the rest of you will see if Asdrubal Cabrera and the Tribe can make it 5 straight wins over the Reds. Cabrera went deep last night, while Brandon Phillips' solo shots accounted for Cincinnati's lone runs. Well, tomorrow the likes of Phillips and Cabrera will find out if they make the cut for the All-Star team. Of course, that is a game you can see right here a week from Tuesday night on Fox. It is a game that has starred the likes of Babe Ruth all the way down to Bo Jackson and everyone in between. Well, right now, let's find out who today's players loved in the All-Star game.
Favorite All-Star memory, watching it as a kid, watching Bo Jackson. He is an athlete that made this game look really easy.
And look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello.
Torrey Hunter, you know, he was my big brother / idol, you know, when I got drafted to the Twins. I just remember Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds.
Didn't get his arms extended as he raises one into right center field. At the wall. What a catch.
It wasn't kind of just a little one either. You know, it was up and over, and it was vintage Torrey Hunter.
I think my first All-Star game was probably my favorite. I was on first base when that bat hit Lasorda. You look around and you're like, man, I can't believe I'm here.
It was the first time I saw Cal Ripken in the same locker room as me, and he came through and all the media members opened up like the Red Sea, and he welcomed me to the All-Star game, and that was a pretty cool experience. And then when we exchanged from short to third, that was kind of an epic moment that I'll never forget.
That show that Josh put on in the Home Run Derby was just incredible. I mean, it was almost out-of-body experience. Like, there's no way that he hits this next ball out, and he just kept going.
I got to meet President Obama, but having him come into the locker room, in St. Louis.
What's going on, How
are you doing? All right. Here, got some more.
This is my local guy here. My Hawaiian guy. Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
That was a very big moment for me.
My favorite's easy. First one, San Francisco. Rod Carew was my favorite guy growing up, and Rod was on the team that year. He gave me a bat. That's pretty cool.
MLB.com's Midsummer Classics tourney is down to the final 2 All-Star moments. Cal Ripken Jr.'s 2001 Swan Song against Stan the Man's game-ending home run in the 55 Classic. Go to MLB.com/moments to place your vote. And, of course, Tuesday, July 12th, it's the All-Star game right here on Fox. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Well, we're going to keep you updated on all the scores and highlights from around the Bigs, and that includes Doc Halliday's return trip to Toronto for the first time as a Philadelphia Philly. Find out how he did and if he could go the distance. But up next, we're going to get you out to your game. Most of you will stay right here at Citi Field for the battle between the Yankees and the Mets. Others are off to the north side of Chicago. Will somebody finally smile on the Cubs, or will the White Sox make it 2 straight over the Northsiders? The rest of you get the battle to the Buckeye State. Tribe and Reds swinging it. We'll get you out to your game next on Fox.
Ready for interleague baseball and the Subway Series, the Yankees and Mets, today on Fox. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. Tim McCarver is coming right up. These two clubs met earlier in the season, but now there's more juice to this series. The Mets had a good week of interleague play, but they're taking on the hottest team in baseball, a team that's scoring a ton of runs, and a team that's pitching great out of their rotation. And Tim, today, the Yankees get Bartolo Colon back.
Before spring training started this year, Yankee general manager Brian Cashman had the wherewithal to sign Bartolo Colon to a minor league contract as insurance. And has he ever paid dividends for this team?
Yeah, and on the other side, Dylan G gets the ball. He's lost only once as a rookie.
And the Mets have won 11 of his 12 starts. Dylan G has a chance to do what only 3 other Met rookie pitchers have done, and that's go to the All-Star game.
It is 4th of July weekend. We are in the best place in the world, New York. And it's the Subway Series. Mets and Yanks, next on Fox. warm. It is 83 degrees. It is humid. And it's the Mets and the Yankees today on Fox. Opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And now the Taco Bell starting lineup for the Yankees, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. There it is. No surprises. Gardner, Granderson, Teixeira, the top three. A-Rod, Cano, Swisher in the middle. Russell Martin does the catching. Eduardo Nunez is still filling in for Derek Jeter, who may come back on Monday. And then Bartolo Colon right off the DL and right onto the mound, taking on Dylan G, who has been great.
Dylan has not had his real good stuff his last two starts, against Oakland 2 starts ago and then against the Texas Rangers. But you know, that's the maturation of a pitcher, Joe, is when a young man can go out there and win without his good stuff, and he's been able to do that. His name has matched his performance. I guess it's a good thing his name's not Bludgeon, right? Mets are 11-1 in his starts, and he's abandoned the slider. Said it was rolling. He was getting under it a little bit too much, and he throws that cutter, and it has served him well.
Who is standing behind him defensively for the Mets? Their defensive alignment is brought to you by Scott's. Jason Bay in the outfield and left, Pagan in center, Beltran in right. And around the infield, it's Murphy, Reyes, Turner, and Duda. Catcher is Tolley, and right in front of him, Brett Gardner digs his way in. Yankees check into this game winners of 6 straight, winners of 16 of their last 20, and they are 18 games over 500. And a bunt, a beauty, and a beautiful play for the out, turned in by Murphy from third, 1 away.
What a play by Daniel Murphy. Look at that bare hand. There was a time in baseball where that was an unusual play, but I think Scott Rowland of the Cincinnati Reds made it more routine. He was the first guy that I saw to make it on a regular basis, and now a lot of third basemen do that.
Brings in Granderson, who has hit 21 home runs and is 5th in the AL with 56 RBIs. Strike 1 from G. And the next from the rookie right-hander is up and away, ball 1. Dylan G, who used to throw much harder, he said he could touch 95 on a radar gun, but he has a tear in his labrum. So he is much more of a pitcher than he was when he was drafted 663rd overall, the 21st round back in 07 by the Mets. Called up last year, and he is 8-1 this year. Bottom falls out of that pitch on a changeup, and the count 2-2. Meanwhile, we haven't even had a chance to tell you what a great season Granderson is having so far as he strikes out, 2 gone. Back-to-back changeups, and strikeout number 1.
That's how much Dylan G has matured. When you can throw a hitter of Granderson's stature, back-to-back changeups, and have it be so effective. And that's what Terry Collins said that G would have to do against this tough Yankee lineup.
There's a ball up and away to Teixeira, who is tied for first in the big leagues with his 25 home runs. Tied with Jose Bautista of the Blue Jays, who lost earlier today to Philly. And I understand in my ear a little birdie named Pete Macheska, our producer, tells me that Jose Bautista did homer. So now he has 26. Teixeira was trying to tie him with that swing, and it's strike 2.
Roy Halladay pitching a complete game. He won that game in Toronto, but Bautista with a home run off Doc.
And Teixeira just got a piece. And there are some of the numbers from the 5-3 win. The Phillies rallied last night to win, and today was more conventional, winning 5-3 behind yet another complete game from Halladay. 2-2.
Also, second baseman of the Phillies off the disabled list about 6 weeks ago, Chase Utley on a tear.
Well, they thought he was done.
Yeah.
Would need serious knee surgery to come back, and he rehabilitated himself to get to the point where now he is that presence in their lineup that they were missing while he was down in Clearwater and trying to figure out a way to get back with a big league club. Counts 2-2 on to Shara with 2 out, nobody on. And a good start for Dylan G. The rookie sets him down 1-2-3 after a half. In Queens, no score. Lineup for the Mets brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Reyes, Turner, Beltran at the top with Daniel Murphy, Angel Pagan, and Jason Bay in the middle. Lucas Duda gets to start at first. Josh Tolley and Dylan G. Bartolo Colon, Tim, did not have a rehab start. He had a simulated game he worked through on Monday. Coming off that left hamstring injury, and that hamstring is under a lot of pressure to carry that big body around, and he injured himself against the Cleveland Indians on the 11th of June.
And you wonder how many people and how many baseball fans that are covering, we're covering about, what, 80% of the country today, are tuning in just to see this at bat and see how hot Jose Reyes has been.
There's a strike over the outside corner, and you can expect a lot of that 90-plus. Nobody throws more fastballs around the big leagues than Bartolo Colon.
That's right.
That one hits 94. It's the corner. It's 0-2. And Reyes, well, I mean, there's so many things to say about this guy. Well, we almost had to wait for the next at bat. That barely missed low in the count 1-2.
An encyclopedia of statistics right here.
And just a lot of life. Rodriguez said he's the best player in the world going right now. Alex Rodriguez of the Yankees, and well, he's #1 in triples, #1 in hits, #1 in multiple hit games, #1 in runs, leads the league in average, and a free agent to be. Spoils the pitch as his hometown fans are chanting for Jose Reyes here in his first at bat. This place is alive. We got some life in this park here today.
It certainly does.
Especially when number 7's at the plate. Tough play, Cano. Was going to try and flip it out of the glove, base hit.
Reyes jammed on the play. Robinson Cano tried to flip it with his glove unsuccessfully. And Reyes opens up the game with a base hit.
We have Ken Rosenthal with us here today, and we will talk to Kenny, if not now, certainly shortly, about the future for Jose Reyes, the future for Carlos Beltran, who's on deck with Turner digging in. Certainly Francisco Rodriguez, who is now the closer for the Mets, on a team that's playing .500 ball and chasing the best team in baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies, who have the most wins in the major leagues. Strike one on Turner. How about that? He's reached base in each of his last 8 first-inning plate appearances. You talk about a guy who gets on and makes things happen. Nobody's better. Reyes also has 6 straight where he has multiple hit games. And he is 1 for 1 today with an infield hit, as Turner waits for an 0-1. Instead, a check on Reyes, who's number 2 in steals with 30.
Bartolo Colon weighs 265 pounds, but even with a bad hamstring, you wouldn't know it, because he has very quick feet and a very good move to first base. But if Reyes gets a good jump, forget it.
Good pitch in on the hand, strike 2. Turner has fallen on some tough times at the plate. Was hitting .337 through the end of May. May 30th, just .220 since. And he's been dealing with a jammed thumb. He is happy to see June behind him, hoping for a better July.
Well, that last pitch is not good for a jammed thumb, right in on the hands. But Turner does have a knack for going the other way with 2 strikes.
Skips in, and a clean pick by Russell Martin, the Yankee catcher.
Well, that's a good play. That backhand pick out of the dirt. Russell Martin very good on the balls in the dirt. And A.J. Burnett, who throws a lot of breaking balls in the dirt, can testify to that. Fine reactions by Martin.
Martin, who has thrown out 15 of 58 potential base stealers. That's a breaking ball and strikeout number 1. Good pitch from Bartolo Colon.
First breaking ball of the game thrown by Colon, and it is a beauty. Good slider to get Turner.
I'm glad you mentioned that as Beltran digs in. About the job that Russell Martin has done behind the plate and what he has done specifically for A.J. Burnett. That has been a good working relationship with Martin in his first year with the Yankees. So much was made the past couple of years about A.J. Burnett right there and his battering mates, whether it was Posada, Jose Molina, Francisco Cervelli. But now it's Russell Martin, and the two have worked well. The 0-1 outside, and Russell Martin is the leading vote getter behind the plate at the catching position, with the All-Star game coming up on July 12th.
Started the 2007 All-Star game. Only 2 catchers before him, Ted Simmons and Terry Kennedy, have started All-Star games behind the plate from both leagues.
I don't know if you even read our graphics, but that bottom line on the percentage, 26% for Russell Martin, as you see the other 2 to have done it, to start at catcher in each league. Ted Simmons, Terry Kennedy. The combination predominantly of Posada and Cervelli threw out only 12% of potential base stealers last year. So Martin's been an improvement.
Well, if Reyes, again, if he gets a jump, you're not going to throw him out. I'm surprised he hasn't run with Beltran up there. You can understand it with Turner because he's a right-handed batter. But a base runner, and Reyes obviously knows that, has a much better chance against left-handed hitters because catchers really can't see because the left-handed hitter is a problem. He's in the way.
Full count. And we'll see how the Mets want to play it. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Beltran, who is the team leader in home runs, 9th in the National League with 54 RBIs. He is in his walk year as well, proving that his knees are healthy. Here's a 3-2. Reyes is caught and gets back as it's dropped by Nunez. A strikeout at the plate. Reyes was kind of tiptoeing down to second, was caught, but Nunez took his eye off the throw from Russell Martin.
Well, the reason for that is with the count 3 balls and 2 strikes, the runner at first has to make sure the pitcher goes home. You don't get the jump that you would normally get. So that's why Reyes went back to first base. The ball is juggled by Nunez, and Reyes is back. I don't think an error would be given, but you could give an error from a common sense standpoint on that play.
Yeah, I think you could. They have not. Nunez has committed 10. He also hit over 300 in place of Derek Jeter. And since Jeter went down, the Yankees have gone 13-3. Murphy grounds to Cano. Nice play. Inning over after 1. At Citi Field as Cano shows off his range. No score.
Coming from Southwest Asia. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I want to give a shout out to all my fam, my friends all over New York City, all the boroughs. Hi, Eric. Hi, Chris. Hi, Grandma, Grandpa. Hopefully you guys see this. Go Mets.
And we're thinking of all men and women in the armed services on this weekend, 4th of July weekend. Those currently serving and certainly those who have served this great country in years past. As Alex Rodriguez stands in. A 1-2-3 first inning for Dylan G. And he deals with Rodriguez, Cano, and Swisher here in the second. Good movement to that pitch. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, strike 1. Breaking ball stays up and in. A ball and a strike. G had a ground out of Gardner. Good play on a bunt. Then struck out the next 2 in the first and now gives up his first hit. It belongs to Rodriguez, who is red hot. And the 4 keys to the game.
As far as the Yankees are concerned, keep getting early outs in the inning. They lead the majors in retiring the leadoff batter. On the other hand, they're the best in the majors at getting their leadoff men on base. As far as the Mets, move on. 2 losses, forget about it.
Gives you a chance to say it in our graphics department, a chance to type it.
But more importantly, it gives me a chance to spell it. It took 15 minutes to spell forget about it today in the truck.
1 on with nobody out for Cano. We said this a couple of weeks ago, but it bears repeating that Robinson, among second basemen since 09, made only 3 errors all of last year, has already made 6 this year. But what you get on the other side is a guy who can pound the ball out of any part of the park. And he hits a rocket. Turner to Reyes on to first for a double play. Today's game presented by AT&T is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by DirecTV. Now get DirecTV's best offer of the year. Started to say as Swisher stands in that Cano is among second basemen #1 in batting average, slugging percentage, RBIs. Hit it hard, but it just made the job of Turner and Reyes that much easier to turn to. The batter is Swisher, who is on fire. Ball 1 up and away.
Double play situations, we've talked about it before. It's one of the most unusual in baseball because pitchers want the hitter to hit the ball hard, but they want it hit hard to a middle infielder so the double play can be turned.
That ball is a rocket up into the air and foul. But Nick's been doing a lot of that lately. First 46 games, hit .206. He has hit .320 since with 8 of his 10 home runs.
Nick was talking last night after the game. He told one of the writers that this ballpark is like a cemetery. It does not carry.
Pitch is off the inside corner, 2-1. Some interesting thoughts flashed through the mind of Nick Swisher during the course of a 24-hour period. The 2-1. 3-1. And he is always one of the game's most patient hitters. Despite his hyperactivity and always jumping around and always talking, and that's what he brings to this team, he is very patient as he takes a walk. And it brings in Russell Martin.
Seems like Dylan G. once again very composed on the mound. I was talking to Howie Rose, the radio broadcaster for the Mets. Howie saying that he thinks Dylan will be less amped for this game against the Yankees than he was last week against the Rangers. He worked in the parking lot of Texas Rangers Stadium as a teenager, parking cars. And he had 40 or 50 passes last week, family and friends, at the ballpark when he beat the Rangers. Not one of his best efforts, but he won the game.
Pretty good velocity here today. That 91-mile-an-hour fastball had a lot of movement to it. Martin waits for the 0-1 and takes another strike. There are the struggles for Russell Martin since the end of April. Got off to a great start in this his first year in a Yankee uniform. The 0-2. Up and away, and it's been 3 straight fastballs to Russell Martin. Dylan is 25 years old. And as Tim mentioned in the start, Mets are 11-1 in his 12 starts. Rookie right-hander. Strikes out his 3rd. Bottom of the 2nd. Mets coming up, no score. AT&T is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. I'm here with my bud, Tim McCarver, and up above, our aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV. We're also joined by our bud, Ken Rosenthal, and we're glad he is here. There's plenty to talk about, as pitch number 1 is a fastball for a strike to Angel Pagan. With that, I look down in the corner of the dugout, and Kenny is at the ready. Bow tie on as Pagan grounds to short. 1 away. Hey, Kenny, Sandy Alderson, who is the GM of the Mets, has to kind of navigate some treacherous area now to figure out what to do with this team going forward this season.
Right, Joe, obviously the big question is, will the Mets stay in contention? If they don't, it becomes a lot easier to start talking about trading Jose Reyes, Carlos Beltran, and of course Frankie Rodriguez. But if they are in it, trading Reyes in particular would be difficult. I had a rival executive tell me today, if that happens, then the fans here will burn down Citi Field.
Well, as you look at those 3 players, as a strike is in to make it 0-2 on Jason Bay, who's hoping to come around with a bat. You've got a limited no-trade clause with Frankie Rodriguez and an interesting clause in the contract, Kenny, of Carlos Beltran with regard to the Mets not being able to offer him salary arbitration next year if he becomes a free agent.
Yes, and that increases, obviously, the motivation for the Mets to move him, because if they can't offer him arbitration, then they can't get draft picks if he leaves as a free agent. But Beltran is kind of complicated in a couple of ways, Joe. One, he is earning $18.5 million, so there's going to have to be some financial exchange in the deal. And also, he has a full no trade. So what does that mean? Well, he and his agent, Scott Boras, will effectively choose their next club, and it will be in the best spot for Beltran going forward into free agency, and not necessarily the best deal for the Mets.
Bay flies out to right as Swisher hauls it in, 2 out.
Seems to me that by far Carlos Beltran is the most likely to be traded before July 31st. I agree with Ken. I don't think there's any way the Mets can afford to get rid of Reyes, but I think they will get rid of Carlos Beltran.
And the other guy is Francisco Rodriguez, their closer, who has that clause in his contract where if he finishes 55 games, a $17.5 million option kicks in next year. Limited no trade clause or not, I think he would get my vote as the most likely to move out of a Mets uniform.
Well, the thing is, I think you can move Beltran and get more for Carlos than you would for Rodriguez. That's just a subjective view. But a team like the Red Sox, interestingly, very, very interested in Carlos Beltran.
Especially with the comments by their general manager, Theo Epstein, during the week. Here's a shot into right. Epstein said, we're not getting any production out of right field. That will change.
Right.
Either in-house or by bringing someone else in. Cologne through 2, so are we. No score. that have been racked by injuries. The Mets and the Yankees. But for the Mets, there is no bigger injury than the one that may have happened in the first inning with Jose Reyes injuring his hamstring. He is out of the ball game. We think it happened on his trip down to first on that infield hit. Then he was on that 3-2 pitch, tiptoeing down to second and didn't have any burst. And so Terry Collins is taking him out. And you're talking about, well, we've already said it, probably the most exciting player in the game here in 2011, a future free agent, as this one is lined into the left field corner off the bat of Nunez, who has a leadoff double, hitting over 300 since he replaced Derek Jeter in the lineup. And he went 4 for 4 last night. He's 1 for 1 today. But Tim, Reyes has had hamstring problems in the past. 2 years ago, last year, he had a hyperactive thyroid, oblique strains that cost him games. And there is some inherent risk if you're Reyes or Pujols for the Cardinals, who is injured right now, saying, I'm not going to talk contract, put it off for the end of the year, that you're going to play, stay healthy, and walk into free agency as a healthy player. This may turn out to be nothing, but to come out of a game like this, you have to believe it's somewhat significant, the hamstring pull that Reyes just suffered. Here's Colon to bunt. Strike one.
Well, there's always more risk if you sign speed as a free agent as opposed to a guy like Adrian Gonzalez, the first baseman for the Boston Red Sox, a guy who does not rely on his legs but his power to help a team. So you're going to get more risk with Jose Reyes. There's no doubt about it. Head first slider.
Colon drops down a perfect bunt. The bad hamstring certainly isn't running to first, and the sacrifice is good, moving Nunez to third, 1 out.
And about half the people here at Citi Field cheered, meaning that about half the people at Citi Field are Yankee fans. You could see slowing up there and then coming back to the bag, that little grimace of pain. And we questioned why he didn't run on the 3-2 pitch, why he went back to first base. Now we have our answer.
So either on the trip down the baseline or with that little stagger stop between first and second, and Reyes has to leave the game. We are going to involve Kenny as Gardner stands in. Runner at third, 1 out. Infield is in. And strike one on Gardner. Now we'll talk to Kenny. What about the perception that Reyes, who has had injuries the last couple of seasons, is fragile or injury prone, the free agent to be, potentially?
People talk, Joe, about the difference between Reyes and Carl Crawford, and durability is the big one. But when you look at Reyes' track record, he did average 158 games a season between 05 and 08. Played 133 games last year, so it's a bit of an unfair rap. And again, we don't know the significance of this hamstring issue just yet. We'll just have to see.
Runner at third, 1 out, 0-1 the count on Gardner, who has been very good in the leadoff spot for the Yankees since Jeter went down. A guy who was hitting 145 through the first 20 games of the year, hitting 318 since. 17 infield base hits, 6 bunt hits. Makes things happen with his legs. As the count goes to 2-1.
Yeah, Brett Gardner, in my judgment, is the adhesive of this lineup. First 16 games were just horrible in April.
And now you look at the numbers in the 16 games since Jeter went down. In the leadoff spot, the numbers have been good between Gardner and Swisher. Play at home. Duda makes a good throw. 2 out.
That's why that was very good strategy, having the infield in. Lucas Duda, a good throw home, and a slap tag by Josh Tolley. That was a very good strategic play by the manager, Terry Collins. Normally you don't do that in the third inning.
But there's not a lot of normal right now going on with the Mets.
No, I mean you're not going to get a lot of offense out of this team, so therefore you have to cut down runs earlier than you might want to.
It's a team that's been piling up hits, but they are right toward the bottom of the National League in home runs, third fewest in the league. They had that great run of 4 games between Texas and Detroit, where they scored 52 runs, but in 3 of those 4 games they did not hit a home run.
Had 10 hits in last night's game, 10 singles. Here's that play on contact. Players from third base try to land on that right foot, but there's no way with the infield in that Nunez was going to beat that throw.
Granderson at the plate. The combo of Granderson and Teixeira, well, they have combined for 46 home runs. Curtis has 21 of them. Pitch out, and Gardner gets back. The total of home runs between Granderson and Teixeira is second for the Yankees. You go back to 1961 when the combo of Maris and Mantle had hit 60 through 80 games. Here comes a 1-1. There goes Gardner. A strike and a steal. Stolen base number 20.
That's what we were talking about earlier in the game when Reyes was at first, why it's more difficult for a catcher to throw with that left-handed batter up there. The left-hander is actually in the lane of the catcher trying to throw. So if the pitch is inside, you've got 2 things to worry about: the break of the runner at first and the left-handed hitter in the batter's box. Easy steal for Gardner.
And the count's 1-2. The pitch was a strike, and this should end the inning. Turner makes a play, and the rookie does a great job of getting around a leadoff double after 2.5, no score. go into the bottom of the third inning, Tolly, G, and then Ruben Tejada, who has taken over for Jose Reyes. And the official word on Reyes, he felt tightness in his left hamstring on his trip down the first baseline in the first inning, and the Mets took him out for precautionary reasons. So hopefully that is nothing long term. But when you hear Reyes and hamstring, any Mets fan would think back to a couple of years ago when Jose had a tough time staying on the field.
Yeah, that's a bad connection. Reyes and hamstring.
Remember, the previous regime tried to make him physically run differently than he had his entire life.
Yeah.
And that led to a lot of leg trouble for him. Trying to learn a new way to run.
It's too late.
And a strikeout for Colon, number 3. How about who's behind Bartolo Colon defensively? And it's brought to you by Scott's. Gardner, Granderson, Swisher in the outfield with A-Rod, Nunez, Cano, Teixeira, and Russell Martin catching Colon. One out. Here's Dylan G, who played golf in high school. Still plays golf on off days in the big leagues, but the rookie is just 1 for 21. Swing in the bat. One ball, one strike.
Dylan from Cleburne, Texas. Now, where is that? It's 25 miles south of Fort Worth, or right next to Granbury, about 17 miles from Granbury. You know
well, everybody knows where Granbury is.
Of course.
Nunez to his left. Out number 2. Go ahead, Tim. Take us through with a little more about Dylan G.
I thought this was pronounced Cleburne, Texas, but no, it's Cleburne. C-L-E-B-U-R-N-E. And he met Nolan Ryan, his role model, last week, and became the first Mets rookie. Think about that with Tom Seaver, Doc Gooden, to go 7-0. Would become the 4th Mets rookie pitcher to appear in an all-star game. Seaver, Kuzman, it's Jerry Kuzman in '68, and Doc Gooden in 1984.
How about a chance to be on that list if you're Dylan G?
Boy.
Here is Tejada, first at bat. And if Reyes were to leave at the end of this year or via trade this season, Mets believe Tejada is the shortstop of the future. Mets fans want no part of that. They want to keep the guy they've got. And the count 0-2. Reyes with an infield single that cost him the rest of this game, straining his left hamstring. Good start to each at bat for Colon with 8 of 10 first pitch strikes. And a strikeout on a 93-mile-per-hour tailing fastball. After 3, no score. AT&T is sponsored by Warner Brothers Pictures' Crazy Stupid Love in theaters July 29th, and by Valvoline Next Gen.
Crazy Stupid Love. Is that redundant?
Into the fourth we go, as Tim reveals something about his personal life with Teixeira, Rodriguez, and Cano. Part of the order for Dylan G. Had a chance to talk to Joe Girardi during the break. And it'll come your way provided Pagan finds this and makes the catch. First question to Girardi, the Yankees manager, was about Cologne and if he's pleased with what he's seen.
He's been great. You know, the first thing they made him throw some pitches, but he seemed to really get on track the last two, and it's what we've been used to seeing from Bartolo this year.
Joe, what did you see initially in spring training that made you think Bartolo would be part of the rotation?
Just his command and his movement was exceptional, and what we wanted to see is he continued to, you know, build up his pitch count. Could he keep his velocity? Could he keep his location? And he was able to do that, and we've been thrilled with what we've got so far.
I saw Phil Hughes, your injured right-hander, but getting better, walking around the clubhouse. He's itching to go.
Yeah.
What's the plan for him?
Well, we got to make a decision in the next day or two what we're going to do with him, and we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Bartolo here and how he comes out of his start, and then we'll have to make a decision.
How crazy is this game that you now have too much starting pitching?
Yeah, I mean, we've been through it where we've been, you know, trying some starting pitches, and we went and got Brian Gordon, and he did a good job for us. Guys have just really stepped up and done a good job, but it's a nice problem to have.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Joe Girardi, who is in his fourth year as manager of the Yankees, signed through 2013 as his cleanup hitter Rodriguez. And G has come right after him. In each at bat, watches one go up and away, ball one. On deck, Cano. Here is a 1-2. Off the end of the bat. The full story with regard to Bartolo Colon is that he had a procedure done during the offseason that Major League Baseball has been looking into since a report surfaced about a Dr. Joseph Purita. Here is a 1-2 and a foul backing out of play. Purita runs an orthopedic clinic. It's a regenerative medicine clinic in Boca Raton. He's a surgeon. And he used a procedure where Purita used fat and bone marrow stem cells from Cologne and injected those back into Cologne's elbow and shoulder to repair ligament damage and repair a torn rotator cuff. As Rodriguez strikes out on a changeup, 2 out. So Colon, who is, as you watch the changeup for the strikeout.
4 strikeouts, 4 changeups to get them.
Colon is a 2-time 20-game winner, a Cy Young Award winner back in 2005. Then went through 3 teams, made just 48 appearances over the next 4 years, was out of baseball last year. Pardon me, last year had elbow surgery, signed to a $900,000 deal. Has been exactly what the Yankees needed. The problem with the procedure and what got Major League Baseball's attention was Purita, who has used by his own admittance HGH and such treatments that I described, said he didn't with Cologne or other athletes. Nice catch, Bay and left. And a 1-2-3 inning for Dylan G. Bottom of the 4th inning, the aforementioned Bartolo Colon back to the hill. Yankees and Mets, no score. armed services and our armed services on this 4th of July weekend as we come to you from New York. As Turner leads it off and flies one into right for Swisher, misread it early and can't make the play in foul ground. That's strike 2. Came in, drifted, and then had to try and recover and just couldn't get there, making his way toward the wall. Got a lot of glove on it. Ball might have hit the wall before it hit his glove. So the count 0-2 on Justin Turner.
You think about Bartolo Colon, he has not been a good pitcher, racked with injuries over the last 6 years, a decade of excellence from 95 through 2005. And that's what's so surprising about his comeback. 6 years of futility for the most part.
And another tailing fastball for a strikeout. That's number 5. How about a DirecTV game break? Here's Chris Rose.
Joe, Roy Halladay pitched in Toronto for the Blue Jays for a dozen years. He was back there against the Blue Jays for the first time and trailing 3-2 until this 2-run shot by Chase Utley is 4th. Halladay goes the distance, 64th time he's done that in his career, most among active pitchers. He also ties for the Major League League with 11 wins, 5-3 year final. Remember to see every baseball game the most in HD. It's 1-800-DIRECTV. Joe?
Here is Beltran with a shot deep to center, and Granderson runs it down, 2 out. I mean, if you're a member of the Phillies bullpen and Roy Halladay is pitching that day, do you even bother to get dressed? Or just stay in the room and watch a movie?
Well, you're certainly rested, and that's why Charlie Manuel of the Phillies can afford to allow guys to pitch complete games who have done it so prevalently in the past, and why the Phillies really don't miss their stopper to close games in Brad Lidge.
They've got 3 of them now on the DL.
Yeah.
Lidge has been on all year. You've got Ryan Madsen, who just went on, and Jose Contreras, who initially, when Lidge wasn't available, close games. He's back on the disabled list as Daniel Murphy has a 1-1 count.
The guy's done a terrific job for the Phillies. Antonio Bastardo has really stepped up for Philadelphia. They are a good ball club, and as we said earlier, with Chase Utley back, they'll be better.
And now 10 complete games between Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee.
How about Cliff Lee for the month of June? Definitely the pitcher of the month. 5-0, giving up 1 run in 5 games. 1 earned run. He drove in 2 and gave up 1.
It's one of the best months of June in the history of the game.
Yeah.
3 consecutive shutouts. The 2-2 outside. And now for Lee, 32 plus consecutive scoreless innings. 32 1/3, and he will go tomorrow. How good are the Phillies? Another tailing fastball, another 91-mile-per-hour pitch, and another strikeout. Welcome back, Bartolo Colon. He struck out 6 after 4, no score. Baseball on Fox, presented by AT&T. AT&T, rethink possible. Fifth inning now, no score. Dylan G is showing 80% of the country watching right now on Fox, while the Mets are 11-1 in his 12 starts. Swisher, who walked his first time up, has the count even 1-1. We had a chance to talk to the Mets manager, Terry Collins. And we'll play that for you after the first out here in the fifth. Good changeup. Strike two.
That is a circle change, which means the pitcher joins his index finger and his thumb and throws the ball with his last three fingers. Hitters deceived on motion, and for the most part, motion alone.
The count 2-2. G has struck out 4. Allowed just 2 hits. Colon has allowed only 1. Still 2-2.
And when you see that many changeups, that's what happens. That 88-mile-an-hour fastball gets in on your hands. It wouldn't normally if you were looking for it, but that changeup is what keeps you honest. It was just actually a changeup. I beg your pardon. But you saw the index finger and the thumb joined. Very deceptive pitch.
That floats up and away, full count. 2 starts ago, Dylan walked 6 in 4 innings, his first loss of the year against the A's. Only man to walk today on either side is the guy at the plate. And now he strikes out. That out pitch has been the changeup for Dylan G today.
All 5 strikeouts with a changeup.
And with 1 out, nobody on, here's Martin. Off the end of the bat, strike 1. So we'll give you the Terry Collins interview. It's quick and just 2 questions. One about Reyes, the other about Dylan G. After Martin does something here in the top of the 5th. Russell, who has hit just 172 coming into today since the start of June. The 0-1. Strike 2. It's fun to watch a guy keep hitters off balance. This isn't Nolan Ryan blowing hitters away. This is a guy who is using his mind as well as his right arm. Trying to hit spots, and he misses outside, ball 1.
And plus, Joe, he's pitching to the park, too. This is a middle of the plate park. In other words, you can use the middle of the plate, get the long fly balls for outs.
And another strikeout. That was on a fastball. Here is Terry Collins. The first question, how serious is the injury to Jose Reyes?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, he's had 2 years ago he had the real bad hamstring. This is the other one. It's not the one he injured 2 years ago. So he just thought it was getting real tight and starting to cramp up on him, so he took him out.
And you said before the game that Dylan G had to use everything, and he appears to be doing that today.
Tim, if he's going to have success against this lineup, he's got to continue to use all his pitches and pound the strike zone with him, and that's what he's doing so far.
Hey, Terry, thanks for the time.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. I think you could make the case. You might not win the argument, but you could at least make the case that Terry Collins is in consideration for Manager of the Year in the National League. In
Couldn't
baseball, I mean, who's doing a better job with less?
Could not agree with you more.
A team that started 5-13. They don't have Santana. Chris Young, their right-hander they picked up, went down early. He looked like he was going to be a nice addition, but he injured his shoulder. There is a swinging strike from Dylan G. The guy who's supposed to be the ace, Mike Pelfrey, has the highest ERA in the Mets rotation. They don't have David Wright. They don't have Ike Davis for 40-plus games in their 500 club, still hanging in a wild card chase. He's done a great job.
High fastball. One of the reasons I think the players that the Mets have been forced to use, the knowledge by Terry Collins of those players.
Here's another extra base hit for Nunez. Already has one double. And now another, and he is 6 for 6 in this series against the Mets.
He was ahead of the organization, a minor league rover, as this breaking ball goes in the middle of the plate. Second straight double by Nunez. So Terry Collins over the last 2 years has really had a lot of these younger players that the Mets have been forced to bring up. And he knows their strengths and weaknesses very, very well. That double by Nunez at least clears the pitcher going into the 6th inning.
Brings in Bartolo Colon, who dropped down a perfect bunt for his sacrifice his first time, and now he's looking for a 2-out RBI hit. Strike one.
You said 5 and 13. That included for the Mets a 7-game losing streak in the first 18 games of the season. So Terry Collins and his troops were put to the gun right away.
They were pulled out of a nosedive.
Yeah.
With all the stuff off the field with this organization. They've added a new minority owner. Financial trouble with the Wilpons. And yet Terry Collins down on the field answering the questions about Beltran and Reyes, and making Beltran, giving him the opportunity to play right instead of center, save wear and tear on his knees. Strike two. And Dylan G has Colon eyed up for strikeout number 7. Yankee hitters, like any American League hitters, like to watch these pitchers try to hit. As that one tails down and away, 2-2. Swisher led off, he struck out. Martin followed, he struck out. A double by that man Nunez. And that's just a waste of time. I mean, you got the pitcher at the plate.
Right.
You got a rookie on the mound. There's no reason to play around with a runner at second base. Just got a piece. Cano is enjoying this at bat. Will Colon. No. Struck out the side and has 7 on the day. Halfway through it, Mets coming up, no score.
by AT&T. Rethink possible.
Aerial coverage up above is brought to you by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV. As we go into the bottom of the fifth, Angel Pagan is first up. Started our day talking about the two starting pitchers, and they have delivered. Ball one as Pagan showed bunt.
Only 6 base runners on the day through 5 innings for the Yankees. And for the Mets, Colon has retired 12 in a row since that infield hit by Reyes.
Off the end of the bat into left center field, and Gardner chases it down. 1 out. And we go to Chris Rose for a DirecTV game break.
Joe, we saw Bartolo Colon struggle at the dish a few minutes ago. What about his old team, Fausto Carmona, laying down the sac bunt? That's fine, but then he blows a tire near first. He had to be replaced by another pitcher, Josh Tomlin, as a pinch runner. Next hitter's Michael Brantley. His 6th of the year, a 3-run shot, 3-0 Tribe. Of course, Brantley came over in the CC Sabathia deal from Milwaukee. To see every baseball game the most in HD, it's 1-800-DirecTV, Joe.
All right, Chris, so that wasn't pretty going down to first base. It makes you think of the Yankees a few years ago with Chin-Ming Wong, who was their top starter, a 2-time 19-game winner who was injured running the bases in Houston during interleague play. And at that time, the boss, the late George Steinbrenner, was none too pleased that his pitchers had to hit in interleague play.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean,
National League.
Chin-Ming Wong, that was his career. And those crying for uniformity in interleague play have points.
You'd rather just see the DH throughout?
I think so. If you're going to have the DH, I think the DH should be uniform when interleague play occurs. Of course, that would be a decided advantage for the American League because the National League teams are not suited for designated hitters. I guess obviously that's the argument, but when you see something like that happen to a pitcher like Carmona, then that's cause for concern.
Of course, the opposite is true, and it happened this week with Adrian Gonzalez having to play the outfield so that the Red Sox could get the bat of David Ortiz into the lineup to play first. Gonzalez had played first once, and he said, I'm willing to do it, but I'm not going to hurt myself making any diving catches in the gap. I'll keep what's in front of me and catch what I should catch, and that's about it. Counts 1-2 on Bay, who has hit 4 home runs this season, hit a grand slam this week, when the Mets had 2 in 2 innings at Detroit. Ball 2. Mets had gone 299 games without a grand slam, and they had 2 in 2 innings at Detroit on Wednesday. Bay had one of them. The 2-2. Full count. To go get it with his bad hamstring. He is wise to just put it in his pocket. Second hit of the day for the Mets. You can help make baseball moments that kids will never forget. Go to ChevyBaseball.com to support youth baseball. Plus, you can enter to win one of 4 trips to the All-Star Game coming up on July 12th, and the keys to a new Chevrolet. Here is Lucas Duda playing first base today, and a guy who, when he gets a hold of one, can really launch a baseball.
talking to Terry Collins about Lucas before the game. He said he used a term that I'd never heard before. He said he's a high ceiling guy, meaning he holds his bat above the head, right about the left ear. And he said you got to bring him down and calm him down and allow him to use that power. That means you don't want too much action before the pitch is on the way. But when it's in that sweet zone, 12 to 15 feet in front of home plate, that's when you want all the action.
By the way, Bay over at first, who is here to hit home runs, is 8 for 9 in the stolen base department, and might be a chance to try and swipe the bag with limited offense. As the pitch goes outside to Duda. Talked to Collins, why is Duda in the lineup? The answer was, we just don't have a lot of power. They don't have Ike Davis, their normal first baseman. They don't have David Wright. Wright is getting closer and closer to a minor league rehab assignment, but that's still maybe a week away. Whereas Ike Davis, he may be shut down for the rest of the year. Off the end of the bat into right for a base hit. And it's 2 on, 1 out.
Couple of clunkers, a 2-strike hit down the third baseline by Jason Bay, and now a ball off the end of the bat by Lucas Duda. They all count. The Mets are glad of it. Think of the 3 hits the Mets have today: an infield, 2 infield hits, and a clunker off the end of the bat.
It brings in Tolle, who has hit .348 since the last week of May. Struck out his first time. Dylan G, the pitcher, on deck. Two on, 1 out. Strike 1. I talked about Ike Davis. He was hurt on May 10th. Looked like a routine ankle sprain. But his ankle just hasn't improved. He has cartilage damage around a bone bruise in the ankle. And if that doesn't improve in the next couple of weeks and strengthen, he could be facing microfracture surgery, which is no small event. Here's the 0-1. Another hit. And the bases are loaded with Dylan G, the pitcher, coming up. Here's that injury on a pop-up. That's it. 4th inning of a game at Colorado, and you can see that left ankle rolled over. That's his support leg as he banged into the other guy who's been hurt, David Wright. And that is what has led to him missing over 40 games. And now Dylan G walks in with the bases loaded and 1 out. He wants pine tar or a different bat.
He went up to the batter's box. Then Chip Hale called him down. And anytime that happens with a runner on at third base and less than 2 outs, you're thinking squeeze. So maybe that's what Dylan did. He ordered his squeeze back from the bench.
Well, you don't see it a lot with the bases loaded, but you do have a guy on the mound that can move.
That's right.
With a bad hamstring. And a ball up and into G, who is 1 for 22 with a bat.
If you do decide to bunt, I mean, you can almost use a sacrifice squeeze right here, safety squeeze, and make Bartolo Colon feel the ball.
Ball 2. And in his first start off the DL, Colon is into the 5th, and they're getting a little concerned in the Yankee dugout. Now on the phone is Larry Rothschild. 2-1. So you can see it here. G figures to get a strike.
You're going to put on anything, it's got to be right now. Cologne has got to throw a strike.
And that's strike 2. Corey Wade, a right-hander, recently added, was in the minor leagues with Tampa Bay, gets loose. First real chance of the game for the Mets. They've done a lot of this all year, a lot of hits. They've got 3 straight singles, no runs. .95 from Cologne as he reached back for a little extra. Swung way around to the right in the outfield. Infield about halfway. And G is trying to battle his way on. Reyes left after the first. Jose Reyes with a strained left hamstring. So Ruben Tejada's on deck. Very economical with his pitches so far as Cologne. This has been his longest. Only 1 out. Rodriguez will step and throw. And the double play ends the inning and sends us scoreless into the 6th. And applauding is Cologne as he gets out of a jam. Still no score. As you see this meeting on the field before today's game, by way of background, the Mets this year launched the Amazing Calls to connect Mets players with fans that have amazing stories. Players first make contact with a phone call, and that leads up to a Saturday or Sunday home game here at Citi Field. Well, last December, Terry Collins, Jason Bay, and Ike Davis visited Cohen's Children's Clinic of New York on Long Island. Brendan Sullivan, that was Brendan, 13 years old, had brain surgery to remove a tumor less than 24 hours before their arrival. and came to life when he was told in ICU that the Mets were there. An exception was made for him to be brought to the pediatric floor to meet them, and 6 months later, Brendan is recovering, just finished the school year, and before the game, Terry Collins and Jason Bay got a chance to see Brendan Sullivan, a very courageous 13-year-old. And a nice program put together by the Mets. Count is 0-2 on Brett Gardner. And a line drive into center for out number 1 as Pagan makes the play. If you are just joining us, what have you been doing with your Saturday to this point? Here's what we've been doing. Reyes left the game early with a strained left hamstring. Eduardo Nunez has a couple of doubles, 6 for 6 in the series. And here is his hamstring, the first at bat of the day for the Mets. And for the Yankees, Colon right off the DL. No rehab start, pitched a simulated game on Monday, and he's been great today. So is Dylan G, who has the count 1-1 on Granderson. And now strike 2.
Boy, G has been a surgeon on the mound. With Colon, primarily it's been fastballs. But with Dylan, a little of this, a little of that.
Here is one launched into right. And gone. Yankees lead 1-0.
In order to hit a pitch in that location with the changeup that G has used all day, you've got to be looking for it. You've got to wait. Granderson did and hits his 22nd home run of the year. Wait. Watch where this pitch is.
/mile-per-hour changeup. Now to Sherrill with a base hit to center. After 1 year in that three-way trade involving the Yankees, the Diamondbacks, and the Tigers, the results were, well, the Diamondbacks got some pitching, and that certainly looked good this year. The Tigers got Austin Jackson, who had a great season last year. And Granderson was okay, not great for the Yankees. Well, Granderson now has 22 home runs. Last year, through the first 79 games, he had hit 10. He has more than doubled that this season. And he is a wonderful ambassador for the game of baseball as well.
I'll say.
Strike 1 on Rodriguez. Ken Rosenthal, they don't come much better than Curtis Granderson of the Yankees.
No, he is one of the game's leading role models, Joe. And as you said, not just an ambassador, but an international ambassador. He took a trip to New Zealand in the offseason, did clinics, countless interviews, met with sponsors. And the head of Baseball New Zealand, a guy named Ryan Flynn, told me that he thinks Granderson's visit is the reason that New Zealand was selected to be part of the 2013 World Baseball Classic.
And he has gone deep here in the 6th inning for the first run of the day. Here's the 0-2 from G. And a line drive, base hit into right. Now the Yankees bats come to life. A-Rod 2 for 3. And today's game, presented by AT&T, is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And now Dan Warden, the pitching coach, who has been in that spot for the Mets since June of '08. and survived the managerial change from Manuel to Terry Collins this season, is out to talk to Dylan G. We ask you to watch TBS tomorrow for the MLB All-Star Selection Show. Prior to the start of the Yankees-Mets game, you can check local listings for the start time on TBS. Here is Cano 0 for 2. A home run by Granderson, back-to-back singles by Teixeira and Rodriguez. Yankees have the most home runs in the big leagues. That was their 117th. Hit by Granderson moments ago, and now ball one to Cano.
Third time through the order for a pitcher who does not throw real hard like Dylan G. You try to adapt before the offense does. Run into problems here in the sixth.
Hard hit, base hit. Down the right field line. Teixeira will score. Here comes A-Rod. And it's a two-run triple, 3-0 Yankees.
Even though Cano was hitless before this at bat, he'd hit the ball hard to second base on a double play, to left field with a line drive, and this liner finds a hole between Duda and the line to plate 2. A-Rod knew it immediately and scores easily. Cano to third.
And now the infield in, one-out runner at third. 3-0 Yankees. Strike one. There is action for the Mets in their pen. Swisher 0 for 1 with a walk. Ball one. Manny Acosta gets loose. A rough sixth for Dylan G. That's foul, strike 2, and Swisher broke his back. So Dylan G is trying to fight to stay in this game. The Mets in the bottom of the 6th inning will have the top of their lineup. Next week we will have the Braves and Phillies, Padres, Dodgers. Other regional action on Fox Saturday Baseball. The 1-2. In the air to left. That is deep enough to make it 4-0 Yankees. RBI number 44 for Nick Swisher. And this Yankee team coming in having won 6 in a row. And 16 of 20 leads behind Cologne. 4-0 in the 6th.
Yankees first in runs per game, slugging, home runs per game, walks, and on-base percentage. They put it all together here in the 6th.
2 out in the inning and ball 1 to Martin. Two and 0. You get the double whammy if you're the Mets, which is a phrase that I don't know that I've ever used and probably won't again. I apologize. They leave Dylan G in to hit, which there was no decision there. I mean, he's rolling right along. Bases loaded, 1 out. The bottom of the 5th, he hits into a double play to end the threat and end the inning. And now he comes out and allows a home run, 2 singles, a triple, a sac fly. And we'll see if Collins sticks with him after the walk to Russell Martin.
Yeah, in retrospect, the best chance for Dylan G to be the winning pitcher in today's game would have been a pinch hitter against Bartolo Colon with the bases loaded and 1 out. But obviously, that's 20/20 hindsight, something that man doesn't have, even though he could have it looking back under that career of his.
What a catch by Turner. That ends the inning. This started the scoring. Home run number 22. 3 runs followed. It's 4-0 Yankees. Bottom of the 6th. The Mets coming to the plate now, down 4-0. Breaking ball misses, low, ball 1. Top of the order for the Mets, who have to get to work. They had 10 hits last night, 10 singles. 4 hits today, 4 singles. Strike 1. That's a catch by Turner to end the top of the 6th and robbing in the process Eduardo Nunez of his 7th straight hit in this series. Swisher hauls in out number 1.
Yeah, that's a real optimist who can look at that inning, an inning in which the Yankees scored 4 runs, and say, well, we finally got Nunez out. He's 6 for 7 in the last 24 hours.
And here's the guy who did it on that diving catch. Turner has played a good third base. Playing second today. He is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Strike 1. I don't think Joe Girardi will push Colon much past this 6th inning, if at all.
Now with him leading off, or scheduled to lead off in the 7th inning.
He is rolling. He did allow the 3 hits last inning, but he struck out 6, walked nobody. Girardi used his pen all night last night, but he's got action with Corey Wade again in the pen. Colon trying to finish strong here in the 6th.
7 Yankee pitchers were used last night in a 9-inning game.
Another one for Swisher, another easy one. 2 out. Through a nationwide vote, fans have selected the 2 finalists in the Midsummer Classics bracket tournament. Pitting AL moment, Cal Ripken's 2001 Swan Song against the NL moment, Stan Musial in his game-ending home run in the 55 All-Star Game. That's all for the title of the greatest moment in All-Star Game history. You can join the debate as Beltran takes a strike by going to MLB.com/moments to place your vote for either Cal or Stan. In the air to right center field. Granderson won't get there. And Beltran has a 2-out double.
A breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Carlos Beltran showing he's still got a lot left.
So that's 15 hits in this series for the Mets. And that's their first extra base hit. Now trying to string something together. 2 out. Here's Daniel Murphy. Not a huge power threat, but he's done a good job establishing himself in this lineup. And he pops it up. Gardner back to grab it.
Joe, in this ballpark, nobody's a power threat.
We go to the 7th, 4-0 Yankees. Back after this from your local Fox station. Presented by AT&T. AT&T, rethink possible. And Jorge Posada may rethink this whole DH thing. What a turnaround he has had. And what a month of June. Pinch hitting for Colon. And he pops up. In to get it is Bay. 1 out. Posada, who pulled himself out of that May 14th game against the Red Sox, hitting 165 at the time, was 9th in the order. There's Girardi talking to Colon, telling him that's enough for the day. Well, Jorge Posada hit 382 in June. They're the numbers for Colon. 3 home runs for Jorge. And on the first pitch, he pops out to left. Brings in Gardner, who is 0 for 3. And Nick Swisher works over one of his new bats. He broke one in his last at bat. So out with the old, in with the new.
Got to keep your business partner happy.
Here is a 1-1 from Dylan G, who is working in the 7th. You know, I think it'd be easy for Terry Collins to go to the bullpen, but you have a rookie on the mound, a 25-year-old right-hander. He had that rough 6th inning. Let him come back and see if he can get through the 7th and give him that opportunity. A little more experience, and after getting the first out, he's 2-2 on Gardner.
Yeah, you have to treat your future with respect, particularly if he's a starting pitcher.
They're trying to win. They're also trying to develop young players.
Right.
And the 2-2. Shot foul. Acosta again, in case there's any trouble here in the 7th. Corey Wade will take over in the bottom of the inning. Talking to Mike Harkey, the bullpen coach for the Yankees. That is out of play. Pitches on the day for Dylan G. And pitch number 101 turns into out number 2 in the 7th. Dylan G was recently at the MLB Fan Cave. Players have visited all season long. You were there, Tim.
I was. So was Ken Rosenthal. I was there with Ken, in fact.
And you can check in at MLBFancave.com. Looks nice if you're going to be stuck somewhere. Right in Manhattan.
Absolutely.
Watch all the games and the people who are out on the loose.
There are 2 guys there in the fan cave watching every single game this year. Obviously 2 baseball fans.
How many times do you think they've hit the mute button for announcers across this great land of ours and into Canada? We are told that those guys are going to be allowed to leave the fan cave to go to the All-Star game on July 12th.
Good. Be good for them.
It's like they're out on parole.
Little fresh air. Oh, man.
Counts 2-2. That'll be here on Fox. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on the 12th. 2-out walk.
That'll be their only time this year to see one game in one day.
And the rest of the country's as well.
Right.
That is the 3rd walk handed out by G. Terry Collins is going to let Dylan try and get a tough guy at the plate. Ball 1. Mark Teixeira has hit 25 home runs, second highest total in baseball. 25 of his 73 hits have left the park. It's the highest percentage in baseball. Lines one into center for Pagan. Good job by G to get through the top of the 7th. Rebounding after that rough 6th. Time to stretch. 4-0 Yankees. The 7th inning here in New York with the Mets coming to the plate. Down 4-0 and Corey Wade takes over. His 7th game, he has yet to allow an earned run. And good numbers at AAA for Tampa Bay. 2-1 in 21 appearances, 1.23. A guy who got a lot of work for Joe Torre in his first try at it with the Dodgers. Injured, missed last year, and he's got his good stuff back. And he retires the leadoff man. Pagan, one away in the bottom of the 7th. That'll bring in Jason Bay. Jason Bay came to the Mets last year. Averaged 29 home runs a year. Until last season, as Boone Logan, who's been busy lately, gets loose. He has 4 home runs, Jason Bay, this season. Last year was a disappointing first season for Jason in a Mets uniform, as he flies one into center when he hit only 6 in 95 games. Today's game, presented by AT&T, is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward, and by Burger King. Get the original chicken sandwich for just $1.04 on July 2, 3, and 4. So you can take advantage of that opportunity right now as Lucas Duda steps in. You wonder, Tim, as they go forward here with the Mets organization, Bay's got 10 home runs total in a year and a half, basically, although he was injured last year, had the concussion issue. Wright struggled that first year, hitting home runs a little better year 2, but still not what he was when the Mets played at Shea. If other free agent power-hitting players might shy away from signing here with the Mets.
That's why they've got to move the fences in. In fact, there is a rumor that the Mets are going to move the fences in next year. We do not know whether that's true or not, but from a prudent standpoint, I think they've got to do it. You're not going to lure. You've got to make the park fair, and right now it's not fair.
Here's a 1-2. Ripped. Fair down into the right field corner, and a ground rule double as it hops out of play. Lucas Duda getting the start today is 2 for 3.
It can also mess up your pitching and your young pitching too. I mean, pitchers from the time that they sign, as this ball hits right on the line for Duda and hops into the stands. But from the moment that a young pitcher signs, they're told, forget about putting the ball in the air. If the hitter hits the ball in the air, that's trouble. Well, in this ballpark, it's just the opposite. You want him to put the ball in the air because it's so hard to hit the home run.
Fernando Martinez on deck. With the pitcher spot, Dylan G. Next, as Tolley takes ball 2-0.
So if you're a low ball pitcher, what do you tell a young pitcher? Become a high ball pitcher? Well, of course not. But this park can just mess up your thinking from that standpoint, as Luis Ayala is warming for the Yankees.
That's on the corner from Wade. It's 2-1. This park does suit the game of Jose Reyes.
Absolutely.
Where he can use his legs, he can shoot the gap. A lot of room in the outfield. And he leads the world with 15 triples already. Should end the inning. Cano on a knee. Let's go to the 8th. Yankees having fun again here today. They've won 6 straight, and they lead 4-0 against their crosstown rival. Sports on Facebook. You could win sports gear. Enter today at facebook.com/Fox Sports, where you will find exclusive news, video, and games. Log on to facebook.com/Fox Sports And if you like us, meaning Fox Sports in general, not Tim and me, never asked that of you.
No.
You can win Fox Sports gear. Let us know what it looks like. We don't get much of it. First pitch is down and away to Alex Rodriguez from Manny Acosta, the new right-hander. And now 1-2, the third baseman over to first for the out as Daniel Murphy makes the play.
Manny Acosta healthy 2 days after making a sensational play in the bottom of the 8th inning on a ball that was a swinging bunt to the right side of the infield between the first baseman and him. And the ball actually got by him. He went, recovered the ball, and pirouetted and made a strong throw to Daniel Murphy at first base, and in the process had to be taken out of the game. Contusion on his left knee. He appears to be all right.
And with one out, nobody on, here is Cano, who had a 2-run triple and a run scored his last time up, takes a strike. So the Yankees get Bartolo Colon back. 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks. That is, I think, more than they could have expected with him coming back without a rehab start. And the good starting pitching continues on this roll for Joe Girardi. That's strike 2.
Bartolo Colon's rehab start was today.
He will next get the ball against Tampa Bay in the run-up to the All-Star game after the Yankees play 3 in Cleveland. Here is an 0-2. Ball 1. You think about the wish list during Christmas for the Yankees. They were hoping Andy Pettitte would come back. They were pretty much banking, I think, on signing Cliff Lee until he signed with the Phillies for $120 million. They've signed Freddie Garcia. They signed Bartolo Colon. Phil Hughes, an all-star last year, 18-game winner, on the DL since mid-April. They've added guys like Brian Gordon, and yet here they are with a, if they hang on, 3-game lead over Boston in the division, with the Red Sox playing later. And even with all that talk, Tim, the Yankees are 1-8 against the Red Sox this season, so they have to prove that they can beat their big rival. The 2-2 in the air to left for Jason Bay. 2 out.
Yankees have lost 26% of their games to Boston. 1 out of every 4 losses to the Red Sox.
And against the rest of baseball, and they have the best interleague play record now, trying to go to 13-4. The Yankees have dominated. Of late, Nick Swisher's been a big part of that, as his bat has come around. 2 out, nobody on here in the 8th.
Funny how things work out. The inability or unwillingness or whatever to sign Cliff Lee. And then the Yankees prompted to give $900,000 to Bartolo Colon, which is less than 0.5% of their payroll. $900,000 for a $200 million payroll.
And he is about to go to 6-3 unless the Mets rally.
Yeah. Amazing.
As Alex Rodriguez said early, it's the best bargain in baseball. Got a front of the end rotation guy for under $1 million. That's low. 2-1. What do you think this team adds, Kenny Rosenthal, going forward with their pitching staff?
Joe, not sure they can pull it off, but the one thing they would love to add is left-handed pitching, either in the rotation or the bullpen. The one lefty starter who might be available, probably is available, Wandy Rodriguez, very good pitcher in the National League, might not be so good in the AL East.
It is a 1-2-3 8th inning for Manny Acosta. That's coming up. We'll talk about Jeter when we come back. Yankees lead 4-0. Happy 4th of July weekend from all of us at Fox Sports, and it's a new record at this ballpark, topping last night's crowd, 42,042. So they have been buzzing about this game since they got into the stadium. A lot of life in here. The Yankees bats came to life in the top of the 6th. They lead 4-0, and Corey Wade, who pitched a scoreless 7th, is out there for the 8th. Fernando Martinez first up. Martinez pinch hitting for Manny Acosta, who worked a perfect top of the inning. Kenny Rosenthal was talking about the Yankees adding a left-handed pitcher rotation or bullpen as Martinez chops one to Cano. Main reason why all that left-handed thump that the Red Sox have in their lineup. Time for the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight. Here's the injury against the Indians for Cologne on June 11th. On the DL, one simulated game. Off the DL today, and he was great. 6 strikeouts in 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, no walks. In line for the win. And just as Bartolo gives the Yankees the edge, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. 1 out, nobody on. Tejada fouls it back, strike 1. Ken Rosenthal is at the ready down there and brought up the name Derek Jeter as we play in the bottom of the 8th. Jeter is about 39 minutes away from a rehab start at Trenton for the Yankees, and Ken, it's a matter of time. It seems like Monday is the day that Jeter comes back to the Yankees when they're in Cleveland, and then the quest for 3,000 hits resumes as this one is flying into left for Gardner. 2 out. The other question is, where will he hit in the lineup for Joe Girardi?
Well, Joe, he's going to lead off at least to start, and at least probably as he gets through 3,000. But we've seen terrific production from Gardner and from Swisher in the leadoff spot since he has been out. And the Yankees are on the verge here of going to 14-3 without Jeter. So the real question is there a point where Derek Jeter will accept, perhaps, dropping out of that leadoff spot? It's a difficult thing for an aging player to do, except that he is not the player he once was. That confidence that Jeter has, that's one of the reasons he was such a great player in the first place.
First pitch is a ball to Justin Turner.
And such a big game player, as he's proven time and time again in the postseason.
That's on the corner, 1-1. And now with 2 out, nobody on. A base hit into left center field. Gardner cuts it off. But either way, it is a double. Good effort by Brett Gardner in left center.
Good play by a good outfielder. You know, Joe, there in last Sunday's New York Times Magazine, there was a terrific article by Michael Sokoloff. And in it, he quoted a writer who happens to be a woman and a big baseball fan, Susan Jacoby, who's got a new book out about that, the myth and marketing of the new old age.
Here's a high fly ball into right. Should end the inning.
We'll have to continue it, won't you?
We will continue it in the 9th. And as we head there, the Yankees lead it 4-0. AT&T is sponsored by Viagra and by Gillette Fusion Pro Glide. Turn shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers. Aerial coverage today brought to you by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV.
That article we were talking about in the New York Times last Sunday by Michael Sokolov was talking about Derek Jeter and the unusual environment around him as far as his aging is concerned. He turned 37 years old last Sunday, and two comments by Susan Jacoby in that article particularly hit home to me. One was that fans don't like to watch aging athletes in these relatively young guys. It makes us uncomfortable. We think if it happens to them, what in the heck is going to happen to us? And a second quote that will stay with you was from Susan Jacoby. The reason the response to athletes getting older is so powerful is that the decline that's occurring is so public. Most people are allowed to age in private, but not professional athletes.
Here's a pitch down and away, and the count's 3-0 on Russell Martin with Nunez, the replacement for Jeter. On deck is Sergio Mitre, who was just reacquired by the Yankees from the Brewers during the week, gets loose. There's a strike from the new left-hander Tim Burdack. Well, people watched last year after Jeter had that big year in 09. Hit .334, 18 home runs, 66 RBIs. Last year, 270, 10 homers, 67 RBIs. He doesn't have the range he once did defensively, but I tell you, if there's one guy you want the ball hit to in Game 7 in the 9th inning of a World Series, he'd be my pick.
Or a guy up at bat.
However, it's another year where he's hitting .260 now. Not a lot of extra base hits. Nunez has given them a little bit of a spark, a little youth. He's 24. And it just points out that if it can happen to Derek Jeter, who's got 5 rings and who's been the Yankee captain and who's been a great player since seemingly the moment he stepped on the big stage under the bright lights. Well, if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody.
Yep. And it's a very difficult job for a manager to tell an aging star that he's an aging star.
Here is the young shortstop Nunez, who takes a strike.
I remember the meeting between Brooks Robinson and Earl Weaver. After 23 years with the Orioles, Earl Weaver was asked by the writers what he and Brooks talked about when he told him he was going to play a young third baseman named Bobby Grich. And Earl said, he made it easy on me. He cooperated.
And during the week, Joe Torre was quoted as saying he believes Derek Jeter, if that time comes to pass, as Nunez shoots one into left center and right on cue goes deep to make it 5-0 Yankees. Home run number 3. That Derek Jeter would do what his manager would ask of him. And Nunez with a smile, that 24-year-old face as he goes deep, and what a series he's had. 4 hits last night, 2 doubles and a home run here today. And they're giving him the silent treatment in the dugout. And the Yankees are all smiles and having fun. Strike 1 on the inside corner to Andrew Jones.
Eduardo probably thinking you wouldn't have given Derek Jeter the silent treatment. His 3rd extra base hit of the afternoon, his 7th hit in 8 trips in the last 24 hours.
And so again, we talked about it with Joe Girardi before the game. You know how this game is. I mean, streaks follow streaks. Teams get hot and cold. This Yankee team is the hottest team in the game. They're on their way to their 7th straight win. 17 wins in 21 games. They'll be 3 up in the division, with Boston playing later. And yet when Jeter comes back, I mean, they'd be hard-pressed to continue a run like they're on right now. That's not going to continue forever. They're not going to win the rest of the year, and they're not going to win at that kind of a rate. But this is a Yankee team that is on the verge of going 14-3 without their captain in the lineup. With 2 out, nobody on, here's Gardner. Brett is hitless on the day. I mean, you saw some of what you were talking about with regard to Jeter, with the frustration and I think on some level a little bit of embarrassment, even though that's a strong word, with Posada when we were there in May.
Yeah, right.
When he found himself 9th in the lineup, hitting 165 as the DH, and he took himself out of the lineup.
I think that's an interesting parallel. You know, just thinking about it, I don't remember the Yankees having that big a problem retiring their superstars, their mini superstars of years past. Be it Mantle, just off the top of my head, Mantle, Berra. DiMaggio was 35 when he retired. I don't see the same. Of course, it was a different world then, too. It was 50 years ago or so.
Well, I mean, and Jeter is in year 1 of a 3-year, $51 million deal.
Yeah, right.
And there's strike 3 to get Gardner to send this game into the bottom of the 9th. Eduardo Nunez a home run. The silent treatment. The hugs. It's 5-0 Yankees after 8.5. And by Gillette Fusion Pro Glide turns shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers. Bottom of the 9th inning in this beautiful park in Queens, and Chris Dickerson takes over in right for Nick Swisher, and on the mound is Sergio Mitre. There are his numbers with the Brewers. Traded to Milwaukee in March was designated for assignment, and Brian Cashman, certainly familiar with Mitre, wanted to add to his bullpen and reacquired him. That's a ball 1-1 on Murphy. Daniel Murphy is 0 for 3. Nothing Yankees. That's in the air to left center field. Will not be caught, and one hop up against the wall. Good start to this 9th inning as Murphy has a double. And for the Mets now, 4 extra base hits in this game.
That'll get Mariano Rivera up as Daniel Murphy gets his first hit. By the way, the ever-vigilant Steve Horn informing me that it was not Bobby Grich that took Brooks Robinson's place at third base, but Doug DeCinces. Bobby Grich was the second baseman in those days with the Orioles.
That's Rivera getting his engine started as Mitre bounces one in, and over to third goes Murphy. That'll be a wild pitch. Mitre in 39 games over a couple of years with the Yankees, 3-6. And it was really the pitching of Colon and Freddie Garcia in spring training that allowed Cashman to make the move, and now the 2 guys involved in that deal are out there on the field for the Yankees. Dickerson came to New York. Mitre went to Milwaukee, and now he's back. And he is working his way into trouble and maybe right out of this game with a 3-0 count on Pagan.
Yeah, obviously there is a very short leash on Sergio Mitre right now.
And that'll put runners at the corners. Mitre has allowed a double, a wild pitch, now a walk.
Speaking of walks, Russell Martin will walk out to the mound and spend as much time as he can with Mitre to give Rivera a chance to warm up.
And these Met fans are salivating for something from Jason Bay. 4 home runs on the year. He could make it a 2-run game with 1 swing. Strike 1. While we have a chance, the producer of today's game, Pete Macheska, the director, Bill Webb, associate directors Aaron Stoikov, and the broadcast associates Eric Mandia, Chase Weber. Jonathan Evans is the technical director. Pre-game show produced by Don Bowie. Here's the 0-1 to Bay. Editorial consultant Steve Horn, the statisticians Wayne Fiddleman and Keith Costas.
All right.
I got a Costas closing in on me.
All right.
And happy 63rd birthday to our technical manager, Sid Drexler. Here comes a 1-1. There goes Pagan on strike 2. And the uncontested taking of second. And they're giving Pagan his 14th steal of the year. Here's the 1-2. Rodriguez will go to first, up by 5. 1 out, in to score is Murphy. And it's 5-1 and an RBI ground out, but Mitre and the Yankees got exactly what they wanted. They will take the out, give up the run. Up now by 4.
That's why it was a good play by Angel Pagan to go to third base. Normally, he wouldn't do that. But in the 9th inning, when you're trailing by more than 1 run, make the defense do something unusual. And A-Rod didn't take the bait. He went to first base.
Brings in Duda. Breaks his back, grounds to Cano. It is a 5-2 game as Pagan scores, but 2 out in the inning. So 2 RBI groundouts. Now the bases are empty. Tolle is walking in, and the Yankees would love to get through this game without having to bring Rivera in out of the bullpen.
I'm just looking down the Mets dugout, and it's one of those situations in a game where the Yankees did exactly what they wanted. They got an out, and somebody is going to shake Lucas Duda's hand in the dugout. He's already had 3 handshakes. There's 4.
And strike 1 to Tolle.
It's one of those inapt handshakes. Why are you shaking his hand? He did what the Yankees wanted him to do.
2 out in the inning. Nobody on. 2 runs home in the 0-1. Just off the outside corner. There's a strike, and the Yankees are 1 strike away from their 7th straight win, and a 3-game lead in the AL East, with Boston playing tonight at Houston. Mitre knocks it down and ends the day. Yankees win another 7 straight. A final of 5-2 as they've taken the first 2 from the Mets. And Joe Girardi has his Yankees on a roll. They got a good start. They had a big 6th. They hit 2 more home runs today. Granderson and then Nunez. And the Yankees, who have a game tomorrow behind Freddie Garcia against the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey, will go for the sweep. And there's a look at the AL East.
Another sensational start by Bartolo Colon. What made this particularly pleasing to Joe Girardi, I'm sure, is he came off the disabled list and looked like he did before he went on the disabled list.
Time now for the Valvoline Next Gen Right play of the game. And it was the first run of the game. Off the bat of the slugging center fielder Curtis Granderson. Home run number 22. 3 more runs would follow in the inning and a 5-2 win. Let's go down to Chris Rose.
Pitch and shutout ball, and then all of a sudden, bam, bam, bam. And that's what this offense does best.
It's the crazy thing about baseball. We just keep grinding out at bats and just keep trying to hope we get other opportunities throughout the game and continue to put pressure on. And that's what we were able to do in that 6th inning.
How strange is it to crush a home run in a visiting ballpark and hear like 30,000 cheers?
Absolutely amazing. The New York fans across the board, both Mets and Yankee fans, diehard, passionate, come out in groves, look forward to this series all season long, both at our place and here. This is the first time I got a chance to play it in here, so it's been everything it's been cracked up to be.
You guys have won 7 straight, 14 of 17. It's almost like you guys are on cruise control. What has been the difference over the last few weeks?
The big thing is that we're just kind of taking it day by day. We're really not worried too much about what's happening, and we're not worried too far about what's happening in the future. Focus on today. We got today taken care of. When we come here tomorrow, we're only going to focus about tomorrow, and that's it.
How about Bartolo Colon? 6 shutout innings. The guy doesn't even have a rehab start. Looked like he didn't even miss a beat, huh?
Absolutely amazing. To get put on the 15-day DL, come back and throw like he hadn't skipped a beat. The ball was moving all over the place. The velocity was great. The pitch count was down like he's been doing all season long. Maybe he just needed a little bit of rest. That's all it was.
Maybe he needs a little BP. What'd you think of his? He was swinging for the fence. He's got to give him some credit.
He was trying his best to. You know, he threw him some tough pitches up there, a couple balls away. He fought with 2 strikes, and the big thing, he got the bunt down early on.
All right, Curtis, we'll see you in Arizona for the All-Star game. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
On over to Kenny Rosenthal with another Yankees hitting star. Kenny?
Thanks, Chris. Here with Eduardo Nunez. Eduardo, first the home run. You get back to the dugout, and there's nobody there to congratulate you. Did you know what was going on?
No, I think, oh my God, what happened here in my dugout? Was my teammate. And I see nobody see me. Nobody, like, it's nothing going on. I'm like, wow. And when they came back, oh, how you doing? Yeah, congratulations.
Now, you're 7 for 8 in this series, and nearly 8 for 8. Second baseman Justin Turner made a great play. What has happened for these last 2 games to come out like this for you?
You know, the morning ball, swing the good pitch. I see the ball better. I feel better right now. You know, when you play more, you feel more comfortable in the place. But right now, I feel great.
Everybody knows Derek is coming back probably Monday. You probably won't be playing every day then. How much does that change for you?
No, nothing. You know, I don't think about that. Just we come back for my regular job as utility guy, and nothing. I'm waiting for my day. My day coming one time.
Eduardo, thank you very much. Joe, back to you. Eduardo, thank you.
Kenny, thank you very much, and thanks to Eduardo Nunez. How about his day? How about his time here at Citi Field? Today he had a pair of doubles, then was robbed of an extra base hit on a diving play by Turner, then went deep. And a smile on the face of the young man who just turned 24 recently, then back to the dugout, and nobody paid any attention to him until his teammates broke down and let him have it.
That was a good one. Good decoy.
That's great. And a real likable guy, as you can tell in a visit with Kenny, as is Curtis Granderson, who hit his 22nd here today. Look at this streak for the Yankees. 7 straight, their longest of the year. They've allowed a total of 7 runs in the last 5 games. A season-high 19 games over 500. And they have Derek Jeter expected to come back, if all goes well this weekend on Monday in Cleveland. We'll wrap things up from New York after this, as the Yankees win another 7 straight, 5-2 over the Mets. They'll go for the sweep tomorrow. Back after this from your local Fox station.